An engineer on the Claude Code team just published the most important guide for anyone using Claude Code. It's about session management and the 1 million token context window. And after reading it, I realized most of us, myself included, have been doing this wrong. The post got 3,000 likes, 5,000 bookmarks, and 370,000 views in hours. Today, I'm breaking down every concept so you can apply it immediately. Let's start with the basics. The context window is everything the model can see at once when generating its next response. That includes your system prompt, the entire conversation so far, every tool call and its output, and every file that's been read. Claude Code now has a context window of 1 million tokens. That's massive, roughly 750,000 words. But here's the catch. Just because you can fill it doesn't mean you should. This brings us to context rot. Context rot is the observation that model performance degrades as context grows. The reason is attention, the core mechanism behind how language models think. As the context fills up with more tokens, the model's attention gets spread thinner and thinner. Old, irrelevant content starts to distract from the current task. Think of it like working at a desk covered in papers from 10 different projects. Even if your desk is huge, the clutter makes it harder to focus on what matters right now. The context window works the same way. 1 million tokens doesn't mean 1 million tokens of quality output. It means you have more room, but you still need to manage what's in that room. Here's where it gets interesting. According to the team, every single turn in Claude Code is a branching point. After Claude finishes a response, you have 5 options, not just one. Option 1, continue. Send another message in the same session. This is what most people do every time. Option 2, rewind. Double tap escape or run/rewind. This jumps back to a previous message and drops everything after it from the context. Option 3, /clear. Start a brand new session with a brief you've distilled from what you just learned. Option 4, compact. Summarize the session so far and keep going on top of that summary. Option 5, spawn a subagent. Delegate the next chunk of work to an agent with its own clean context and only pull its result back in. The team says most people only use option 1, and that's the problem. So, when should you start a new session versus keeping a long running one? The team's rule of thumb is simple: new task, new session. With 1 million context, you can do longer tasks more reliably, like building a full stack app from scratch. But sometimes tasks are related, and some context is still necessary. For example, writing documentation for a feature you just implemented. Starting fresh would force Claude to reread all the files, which is slower and more expensive. In that case, staying in the same session makes sense. The key question is, does Claude need the context from the previous task to do the next one well? If I had to pick one habit that signals good context management, it's rewind. Those are the exact words from the team. In Claude Code, double tapping escape lets you jump back to any previous message and reprompt from there. Everything after that point gets dropped from the context. Here's why this matters. Say Claude reads 5 files, tries an approach, and it doesn't work. Your instinct is to type, "That didn't work, try X instead." But that keeps all the failed tool calls, all the wrong code, all the debugging output in your context window. The better move is to rewind to just after the file reads and reprompt with what you learned. Something like, don't use approach A, the foo module doesn't expose that. Go straight to B. You're giving Claude a clean shot with better instructions instead of piling corrections on top of mistakes. There's a powerful trick the team mentions. After Claude tries something and it doesn't work, you can use summarize from here. This tells Claude to summarize its learnings from the failed attempt and create a handoff message. Think of it as a message from Claude's future self to its past self. I tried this approach. Here's what I learned. Here's what to do differently. Then you rewind and paste that summary as context for the next attempt. It's the best of both worlds. You get the learnings without the context bloat. Once a session gets long, you have two ways to shed weight: compact or clear. They feel similar, but behave very differently. Compact asks the model to summarize the conversation so far, then replaces the entire history with that summary. It's lossy. You're trusting Claude to decide what mattered. But you don't have to write anything yourself. And Claude might be more thorough in including important learnings or file references. The pro move is to steer the compact. Instead of just running /compact, give it instructions. /compact. Focus on the auth refactor. Drop the test debugging. This tells Claude exactly what to preserve in the summary. /clear works differently. You write down what matters yourself. Something like, we're refactoring the auth middleware. The constraint is X. The files that matter are A and B. We've ruled out approach Y. Then you start completely fresh with that as your opening context. It's more work than compact, but the resulting context is exactly what you decided was relevant. Nothing more, nothing less. For high-stakes work, production deployments, complex refactors, security-sensitive code, clear is usually the better choice because you're in full control of what Claude knows going forward. Here's something most people don't know. Bad compacts happen when the model can't predict the direction your work is going. For example, autocompact fires after a long debugging session and summarizes the investigation. Then your next message is, now fix that other warning we saw in bar.ts. But because the session was focused on debugging, that other warning might have been dropped from the summary. The worst part? Due to context rot, the model is at its least intelligent point when compacting, right when it has the most context to summarize. With 1 million context, you have more time to compact proactively. Don't wait for autocompact. Do it yourself when you know what direction you're heading. Subagents are the most underused context management tool. When Claude spawns a subagent, that subagent gets its own fresh context window. It can do as much work as it needs, read dozens of files, run experiments, debug issues, and then synthesize everything into a final report. Only that report comes back to the parent context. The mental test the team uses is simple. Will I need this tool output again? Or just the conclusion? If just the conclusion, use a subagent. You can tell Claude to do this explicitly. Spin up a subagent to verify the result based on this spec file. Spin off a subagent to read through another code base and summarize how they implemented IUth. Spin off a subagent to write the docs based on my Git changes. Each of these produces huge intermediate output that would bloat your main context. The subagent handles the mess. You get the clean result. To summarize, every time Claude finishes a turn, you have a decision point. Continue, rewind, clear, compact, or subagent. Over time, the team expects Claude will handle this itself. But for now, this is one of the most impactful ways you can improve your Claude Code output. Link to the original post in the description. If this changed how you think about Claude Code, subscribe for more breakdowns like this. See you in the next one.